Hello everybody, Walter here. Welcome to episode 10 of my second Let's Play series for Oxygen Not Included. In the last episode we built a dedicated setup for water purification for our electrolyzers for power and oxygen production. And today I would like to tame the various natural gas geysers on the map, which on one hand is not overly complicated, but on the other hand will require a little bit of work before I can really get started on that. So with that said, it's time to get back into the game and have a look. And here we are, right back at our water purification center. Now, the main problem I currently have is the amount of igneous rock I have available, which is just 5.3 tons, and with that not even enough for a single tamer, since I prefer to use it for my insulated tiles and pipes. Unfortunately, we are also done digging it out in the top half of the map here. There is basically no igneous rock left over, so it's finally time to make our way through this vacuum layer at the bottom here into the bottom half of the map. For that, I think the best spot is over here, since we already have the beginnings of the seeding there. And I'm also going to need a liquid lock, so we're not losing our atmosphere. Let's see, I'm going to need a mesh tile there for the moment. Then under furniture, a pedestal, so I can drop in various liquids. I should also prioritize all of this here being cleared up. And yeah, here I'm going with a 3 high layering, similar to what I did in my kitchen over here. That has the advantage that the dupes will jump over this gap here and will not interact with the layered liquids, which is important since some of the materials down here are rather warm, as you can see there, and could destroy a normal liquid lock otherwise. And since they jump through, they will not interact and will not exchange heat. So that should make sure this here doesn't break too easily at least. But for that we are going to also need some mercury as the bottom layer. Let's see, how much is that? That's a bit much actually. Let's see, do we have some few bits of mercury lying around? Yeah, let's go with that. Let's put that in there. How much steel do we have? 8.4 tons. That is enough, I would say. So I'm going to turn this off for the moment. I have some ideas of what I would like to do with that. This all starting to melt through. Yeah, that is getting close to its maximum that it can cool down, so we will very soon have to build a dedicated setup for that. So anyway, this is still filling up, but I should probably also turn this on, so we have later on some in the storage. So then over here we still need the mercury, and once that is in place I'm just going to layer some ethanol and then nectar on top, just like this here. Now, let's continue with raising the floor a little bit further, and well, we have a printable, so let's have a look. Let's grab another dart. Why not? There are already a lot in there. We might have to move maybe the lump somewhere else. Where could I move the lump? Let's put that in there. Why not? Oh, this is still heating up. I might want to actually put in a space heater around this area. Just until the mercury here melts. Okay, then. Wait. Let's also add a temp shift plate out of air granite is good enough. Okay, then. Let's continue down here. So we have our raised floor already in place. That was quick. Which means we can also add one more tile here to avoid any runoff, making its way in here and maybe interacting with the liquid lock. Then, over here, we have enough space for, and this is under stations, an atmosphere checkpoint right there. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, why not? Of those checkpoints. Then power. And now we still need the oxygen, which we can grab from this pipe here. And that will just go through like that. And now we just need to wait until these here have been filled with oxygen, although one is already done. So I can start by opening this here up. And then run a ladder all the way down to maybe the spot here before I switch to obsidian due to the temperatures involved. We also have a beehive over in this corner here, and I would like to keep those out of my base. So I'm also going to run a wall all the way down to this spot there for the moment. And then I'm going to once again switch to obsidian. Going to make a little dent in there so it's thermally insulated and then run this all the way down. Although, might be able to actually dig out all of this here, so I'm going to keep those two spots open for the moment. And with that we can now start to dig out this top layer here. Once that is gone, I can reach the rest from below and from the side, so my dupes shouldn't be able to get themselves stuck. And once that is gone, I can close off the wall. Now, next up. We will have to get rid of a good amount of magmas. I'm going to just extend this here with a couple of tiles. And then add bottle emptiers out of obsidian right there. Yeah, that should directly delete it once those here get active. Then, for now, let's continue with the ladder down to the spot. Then at the wall here. We will also need a ladder here, because I'm going to dig this here out too wide. I can then very easily get the pitcher pump in this spot here. I have to go a bit higher with the ladder though, it appears. And we have some nuclear fallout up there, although this is really going away again. And we still have a good amount of nuclear fallout down here from a beta that died and dropped in there. That, on the other hand, is going to be a bit more annoying. I potentially might have to get rid of all of this here so the nuclear fallout can spread much more efficiently. We will have to see how that goes. For now, I'm just going to continue building this here and also, piece by piece, digging out this area over here. Unfortunately, the betas kept stinging my dupes and causing issues with overheating, so I've decided to, for now, give up on digging over here. Just close this off, and now that we have the pitcher pump with access to magma, time to make use of that. So we're going to say enable auto bottle, highest priority, and then copy the settings for those four here, which should allow me to get rid of the little bit of magma in this little pocket here. And with that we can now continue further down, although since we still have the nuclear fallout, we will for the moment just extend the ladder and add a wall on the side here, plus a little bit of breathing space. And once this is built, we'll have to wait until the nuclear fallout is gone before we continue by adding our pitcher pump right there. And then obviously the wall here to this side there, and just pick out that little spot there. And once this is drained, I'm just going to continue further down until we hit this spot here. And once we are through the second or well, last magma layer here, we're going to see what we can find below. Now, getting through all of this here is going to take a decent while, so we should probably have a look at the rest of the base and how it's faring. So first of all, let's see how it is. Oh, come on. You can't be serious. I hate it when this happens. So let's replace this with an airflow tile for a moment. Then I will have to drop in some more mercury, but at least this here is no longer needed. Yeah, that is pretty annoying. We should have a bit of mercury lying around still. Yeah, let's just drop that. And let's put that in there. And let's just speed this up. So, any dupe coming by? Oh, there we go. Just going to quickly build this, and this is definitely not enough mercury, so that will have to wait a little bit longer. So, Yeah, that will melt in just a few seconds, so let's just wait those. And there we go. Okay, now I can up this all up. And then I can also set or copy the settings over here, so I have more storage for things like slime and stuff. Okay, whatever. Okay, that is all looking pretty good already. Now, next up on there again, that is some... Wait, why is this melting? We have a heat leak. Yeah, we have heat leak. That's a bit annoying, but it will be hard to be fixed. And we have some brine finally. This means we can also add the missing bridges here and then prime this one here with the brine. So in case I find some at the very bottom of my base, that gets sorted away properly. So what's the output of our geyser down here? 14, 19. So let's say I set this here to maybe 14, 15. And yeah, once this bridge is also in place, I just need to get some brine in here for the filter. And with that now out of the way, it's time to plan a bit more digging. And I think the first step is just digging out this area here. And about a dozen cycles later, we are mostly done in this area. And we also got another achievement. 1 year to be exact, reach cycle 365.25 with a single colony. Yeah, that was something that I should have seen coming. Now, this is all advancing quite nicely. Now let's have a look. Yep, we just finished with the magma down here. This little bit here is not too much of an issue, so now we can start making our way down. And from here on, I think we can actually switch to granite again. Now, we have some slime and we have a lot of hot materials over here. So the moment this off gases, we will have heat transfer all over the place. I think I have an idea. Going to dig out all of this here. And once I have that space freed up, I'm going to replace these hot tiles here with insulated tiles out of obsidian. Now, where is the hot parts? So, all of this here will get replaced. And that will have two results. For one, when I get gases flowing through here, this will not get heated up through the magma. Although the ladders are already rather hot, so there is going to be a bit of a buffer effect. And for the other, I will actually drop in some magma on top of the slime here, which hopefully will heat it up into dirt and then into sand, which is, in my opinion, a much more useful type of material, or at least at the moment on this map here. So, let's get this here replaced, and then let's see what's left over from the slime down there. And here we go. Quite a bit of the slime was converted, and yeah, now I can actually go with the granite. And what's this? A hydrogen vent. Okay, we have a second hydrogen vent on this map. That is nice. Okay, so then let's see. We will have to do some exploration down here. Wait, first let's have a look at our printer. Yeah, some lime. That's nice. Okay, so as I was saying, we are going to do a little bit of exploration down here. And just dig out this setup here. Now, over here we have a lot of granite and also igneous rock. Yeah, there is a lot of igneous rock over here. That is already a good sign. So, yeah, for now, let's just dig out this little aluminium biome here and see what we can find in the surroundings. And we just got our second achievement for today, which likely is... Yep. Slick. Enter an oil biome for the first time. So with all of the digging we've done, we've finally hit the oil biome down here, which has quite a lot of highly pressurized oil, so that is nice. Less nice are all of the spot shits that are hidden in those pockets here, so when we are digging in there, we will have to be a bit careful about that. But as I said, for the moment, my main goal is getting igneous rock, so we already have a good amount, but I'm not sure it's enough yet, so I think I'm just going to continue digging into this stone biome here, and maybe a little bit further down along the side of the oil biome here in this corner. And quite a bit of time later, we are now finally done down here, at least for the moment. I could still dig a bit further down here, but I think I have enough igneous rock for the moment. There is even another aluminium volcano and a cool steam vent down here, so that was definitely a nice thing to find. But now it's time to worry about the natural gas geysers. And the first one is over here. Then we have a second one over here. And then finally a third one, still somewhat hidden in this corner there. So let's start with the easiest one, which is this one here. Which will require, and now we're going to go with the igneous rock. First a layer around like that. Put this part there. And then to clean this up a little bit. Don't need those corners. So now in here we can, well, first of all, just put in a couple tiles, and then I can put in, once those here are built, a bit of, I think I'm going with ethanol here again, for a liquid lock, so I have a proper vacuum in there before I get started with the building of the tame itself. And with that now in place, it's time for the gas pump out of steel, since this will be rather warm in there. Then I'm going to need a atmo sensor connected to the pump. Power will come from over here via this wire there. I should probably also put at least a deodorizer maybe in this spot there on my mesh tile. Might be a good idea. Now the question, up or over? Oh, let's go that. Okay, so then we are still preparing a gas pipe out of igneous rock now. That's the main reason we went on this whole digging trip there. You know what? Let's go one further and then through the wall there. So, that's this part done. And then let's also already dig out the geyser and have our science guy have a closer look at the times and production amounts. So we're now done with this tema here, which, as you can see, is still dormant for another 40 cycles, so yeah, that's going to take a while. And it's also slightly below average, but at least relatively close to the 105 grams per second. Okay, so next up is the one natural gas geyser over here. The tema is pretty much the same, basically just mirrored. Top part, then I'm going diagonally down, then diagonally over. This one here I will keep out. I'm going to put these tiles in place for the moment. So that's the outer layer until I have the liquid lock in place. Now for this pipe here, I think I'm just going to follow the liquid pipe here. Bridge over. Bridge over again. And then I should end up in this pipe here. Okay. That's looking good. So now let's get the tema here built, same as the other one. And here we go, the tema is now done, and it turns out this geyser is actually pretty good. It's about 10% above average, so nice to have, although it's going to get dormant in another 10 cycles only. But until then we will have some natural gas flowing through the pipe. That also means we can at least in theory, use this to prime this setup here, so that should hopefully work there. Okay, then. This means also, next on the agenda is the third natural gas geyser over here. And that we first will have to dig out. Let's see, is this at the correct height? Yeah, it's even at the correct height. Nice. I can't get over there. Let's do it like that. Okay, that should work. Will even give us some more tallow because we're pretty much out of that. I will worry about that though in a later episode, maybe the next one. But for now, let's get our dupes over to this area here, and then I can start on building the standard tamer design. Like this here. That here. That means I will have to dig out at least this spot here, and then I'm just going to build a tamer as I have already done a couple times before. And it looks like we've hit a bit of a trend here. This one here is even better with 125 grams per second on average. Okay, well, that is now done. In the meantime, I've also rectified or readjusted the setup over here. So this is now running as before. And I've added my two missing bridges here. So this is now done. Last part to prime is this one here for the chlorine. And I think I'm going to temporarily put a gas filter in here. Connecting up there, connecting down here and there. Then I can disconnect there. This will need power, which I'm going to grab for the moment from here. And then I'm also going to disconnect this one here for a moment. And just going to set this one here to sort out the chlorine. And half a cycle later, this is now properly primed, which means I can get rid of these connections here. And the filter. And the power wire as well. Then add the two missing bridges here. And the moment all of this here is placed, I am going to reconnect this one here. And that should make sure that if there's any chlorine coming through here, it will be sorted out here before it gets any chance of freezing inside of these pipes here. Let's see, anything in the pipe there? We have some oxygen in there, we have some chlorine in there. Okay, this is definitely going to have to wait. And yep, this is already working, so I can reconnect there. And yeah, that's this filtering here also done. Which means we can start cleaning up a little bit, because I still have a lot of insulated pipes that are out of granite here, since I was running out in the previous episodes. I believe it's a good amount of this one here. And then also a good amount of this one here all the way to the bottom there. Yeah. And then as well this one here. And for some reason I'm getting graphical glitches because I'm pretty sure all of this up here has to be replaced. Yeah. Yeah, just as I expected it would have to be. Okay. That's looking good. This here will have to be cleaned out later on. We'll have to do a lot of digging pretty soon, but for the moment, let's concentrate on getting all of those pipes here properly replaced. And that was the last part to be upgraded, so we are now done over here. Can do a little bit of cleanup over there. Same down here. Now, while I was working on all of that, a few things have happened additionally. So for one, I have decided to also upgrade this pipe here, which kept breaking every time the pump pumped up some water. That shouldn't be an issue anymore. Over here, the liquid lock broke with the ethanol evaporating due to some hot materials, so that was a bit unfortunate, but too high is enough, so I just added another tile there. And then my game crashed, and when I reloaded I had some solid nuclear waste waiting for me here. So yeah, this is now deactivated, so I don't have any reason for the wall here anymore. You can get rid of that. So at some point I will have to dig up all of this here, but that will have to wait. Now, next up on the agenda is upgrading my base, but that is going to take a little bit too long for my taste, so I think I'm going to put the pin in it and end the episode here. Which isn't too bad, since I managed what I had planned for today, which was taming the 3 natural gas geysers, and in preparation for that, getting access to the bottom half of the map here, which is already dug out quite a bit. So yeah, all in all, a pretty successful episode, if you ask me. And with that, all that's left for me to say is that I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like, share and comment if you did so, it really helps the channel. Independent of that, I wish you a nice day, and well, see you